Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is a No Man's Sky video. And in today's video, what I'm actually going to be talking about is the recent Waking Titan development, especially to do with the word mirror, and the most popular theories surrounding its meaning, if 1.5 will skip 1.4, and just a load of really interesting points which myself and the No Man's Sky community have thought about. Enough has been said for the intro, so please do sit back and relax. Let's get started. So first of all, I want to talk about the significance of the word mirror and what the community thinks it means. So this was something which I very briefly touched on in my previous video. It was the word that was translated out of 2 strings of hex code and is assumed to be either some kind of clue to Waking Titan or a No Man's Sky update. So let's discuss the significance of this word first of all. Is this ARG related or update related? Now, my personal opinion, and this is quite a popular theory as well, is the fact that mirror is the new portal. Now, portal was a word which, if you don't know, kicked off Waking Titan all the way back in June of 2017. Now, portal was a word that was deciphered from the cassettes that were sent to Reddit moderators, and people are essentially thinking that mirror is the new version of this. It was a word relating to No Man's Sky. Obviously, portals at the time were not active in No Man's Sky. They were quite simply static objects that didn't do anything. But by the end of the ARG, when 1.3 did finally drop, portals were a big addition to the update. We had the ability to activate them, use them as travel into planets, and they played a big part in the lore, the story. So essentially, this word portal gave us a hint at the focus of 1.3 way before it released. It essentially acted as a very basic teaser. Now we have the word mirror, and again, people are linking it back to portal and assuming it is teasing a major part of either 1.4 or 1.5, but I'll get into the update argument a bit later. Now, the general theory surrounding the word mirror is that a mirror shows our reflection. We look into it to view our own face, and this could suggest that 1.4 will contain viewable player models instead of, say, floating orbs, the ability to perhaps have a third-person perspective in ships, and maybe even just walking around in general. Now, the multiplayer part of this does actually make sense, mainly due to the fact that Hello Games said themselves that multiplayer was only in its early stages of development when it dropped for 1.3, and that it is a feature which they will work on over time. And what's the biggest improvement they could currently make? Having an actual player model. Of course, there's still the syncing and the communication improvements which you can always bring up, but a player model seems to be the elephant in the room that basically everyone talks about or complains about if they don't like No Man's Sky. So it would make the most sense to address in a new multiplayer focused update, which is what we presume it will be. Also, in relation to third person perspectives, ages ago, before 1.3 dropped, we had these audio files which were unused in the game's files that essentially said things to do with selecting external views. Ray Rod himself, who is a modder, also said that there is a fairly basic unused bit of code in No Man's Sky which allows users to change their ship perspective into third person, and he basically made that his own, and that is now a working mod. So the foundation is there, the hints are there, there is stuff that could work with it, so it seems the most likely, at least to me, it seems like mirror really just suggests you will be able to see yourself, and this in turn means a player model, but also, as I said, the unused audio relating to external views, third person views on a ship. So another argument currently going down in the No Man's Sky community is whether or not the next update will be 1.5 or 1.4, and this can get a little overwhelming, so I'll try and break it down as easily as possible. So all of this started with the who is command on the Waking Titan website that mentioned 1.5, as well as Myriad 70, which is another website that also mentioned 1.5. Now, this caused major confusion in the No Man's Sky community, mainly due to the fact that the next update for No Man's Sky in chronological order would be 1.4 and not 1.5. So what are the actual explanations for this? Well, of course, we don't know for certain. We can only speculate, but we have 3 big theories as to the significance of this. So first of all, we have the theory that 1.5 will skip 1.4 because it's so significant. Now, I spoke about this in my previous video, and if you watched that, then I'm sorry, but I will just quickly mention it. It's the argument that the jump from Windows 8 to Windows 10 and the missing of Windows 9 could be reflected in No Man's Sky, where essentially the changes that 1.4, or in this case 1.5, would bring to No Man's Sky would be so significant and so game-changing that it deserves a title like 1.5 and not an awkward sort of in-between stage like 1.4. Now, this is a fairly credible argument. A lot of people do actually believe this holds some kind of truth. After all, 1.5 is a pretty big milestone. I mean, halfway to 2.0, which if that ever happens will be fucking mental, and hopefully I'll still be around then. But if you look at it in terms of a game perspective, I don't think it's all that likely. This is just mainly due to the fact that I can't think of any examples off the top of my head where games have simply skipped builds just for no reason whatsoever, essentially. I suppose no one really uses the word 1.5 as an advertisement if they're trying to sell No Man's Sky. They would use the actual name of the update, so I don't really think it's that useful for them to skip a whole build. So this is why I'm leaning a little bit less towards this one than I was before. Another one which I want to bring up is how 1.5 is mentioned in the ARG and not 1.4 because the ARG is setting up the update due after 1.4. Now, I know that sounded like a load of confusing nonsense, and I'll try and break it down. This is probably the most complex theory which you can come up with at this point in time, but the basic gist of it is that 1.4 could drop this month, not 1.5, 1.4. In January, it could drop at the very beginning like we are now, it could drop in the middle, the end, we don't know. But Waking Titan is now activated to simply start up the hype of it, get the community rolling again, to set up more content for the wait of 1.5 in 5 or so months. Perhaps Waking Titan ties into the new editions of 1.4 that could drop, say, any day now, and this in turn leads up to 1.5. I know, it's far-fetched, it's quite confusing, but again, it's probably one of the most popular theories. And the last one which I want to touch on is the fact that 1.5 is not actually referring to update 1.5, but rather it is an American date. In the US date format, 1/5 or 1.5 is the 1st of January. Now, Hello Games are UK based, so this isn't the way we work it. We work it the other way around, where we have the date, then the month, not the month, then the date. But they could do this on purpose to throw us off and kind of catch us off guard. So if you look at this in that way, it basically means that the 5th of January could be a release date for 1.4. And this does actually seem quite likely, mainly due to the fact that it has been nearly 5 months since 1.3 dropped, and that is near enough perfect for it to release. It basically fits into the time frame, and although it is something like 6 days off the 11th, it's still the same month, and it's still around the same time-ish. So I would say that that is quite a liable theory, and I would probably believe in this one the most. So what's the most likely outcome of all of this? Well, I believe that Waking Titan was likely started up to gas the community and get people thinking about No Man's Sky again. So when the update does drop, and I think this will be in January with 1.4, it will be better received than if it just randomly released like 1.1 or 1.2. I think that Mirror has too many very, very clear connotations to not be focusing on multiplayer, on a player model. It seems the most logical. It seems like Hello Games, as they are a company that listens to feedback, would focus on it, because a big complaint or constructive piece of criticism, however you look at it, is the fact that floating orbs don't equal multiplayer. We need something a bit better than a little ball of gas floating around. And Waking Titan this time round will most likely be a load shorter than 1.3. I think again Hello Games have learned from their mistakes, where by the end of it people were just a little bit overwhelmed, they were a little bit tired of staying up till 2 in the morning to watch a hamster sleep and then get no results from it. I know for a fact that I felt like it dragged on for too long, so it probably will be shorter if Waking Titan is linked to 1.4, as in it will run for something like 5 or 6 days. But if it's linked to 1.5, then we have a big road ahead of us. Now, that's up to you if you want to believe that. But yeah, that's just about all I have to say on the matter. Please do let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you did enjoy, then please do feel free to leave a like on it. And if you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.